Okay, we're back.
Okay.
I have a little quiz for you. Number of people stopped and frisked by the New York Police Department last year for furtive movements.
I don't know how many. I know it's too many.
351,739.
Really?
Yes. Now listen to this. For wearing,
were they all young black men? That's what you got to kind of suspect.
Likely, yeah. For wearing clothes commonly used in a crime. A gray
what
suit.
Kind of clothes are yeah. The economic
white-collar crimes.
Well, Warren Buffett dresses kind of like you. He's all right.
I didn't know you were such a stylish dresser until you just pointed that out. All right, so now, for wearing, quote, clothes commonly used in a crime. That's it. Commonly used.
For wearing clothes commonly used in a crime. What kind of clothes are those?
Hoodies.
A ski mask.
Hoodies.
Hoodies, ooh.
T-shirts,
maybe. You ever wear hoodies?
Flip-flops.
You probably don't.
I'd wear a hoodie if it's cold.
That's terrible. Whatever it is, it's too many. You shouldn't bust people for wearing anything. You want to throw a dart at the board? 100,000.
No, 31,555.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
Were they arrested or just patted down?
It says number of people stopped and frisked. Stopped and frisked for wearing, quote, clothes commonly used in a crime, 31,555.
Oh, that's not very good.
Not very good. All right, now this is
although if we took way back when we took criminal procedure. Remember Terry stops and Terry pat downs and all that stuff.
Oh yes.
You don't have to have a warrant.
Terry versus Ohio, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. The rank of I already gave you this. The rank of rhinoplasty among the most common cosmetic surgery procedures performed on British men.
Until you told me the answer, I didn't think it was number one, but it is number one.
Number one. For those of you who wonder about the British
They're sitting around wondering what the rank of rhinoplasties are.
I think it might be because there's a lot of rhinoplasty doctors in Great Britain. I think that might be, and they've churned up this to be like a national kind of fad. Everybody gets a nose job.
While we're on cosmetic surgery, I can use that to kind of bring us back into something important.
Oh, you sure?
Yes.
You could do that.
Yeah, I could. I have it. I have it here.
What is it?
Well, healthcare costs for everything have been just going up like crazy.
Of course.
But for cosmetic surgery, they've been level or going down because insurance doesn't pay for it and people get to shop around. So if,
but
if there's a rhinoplasty stand in the mall, you can go up and
that's elective surgery. It's kind of hard to shop around for a neurosurgeon, you know? Kind of hard to shop around for an orthopedic surgeon when you're laying up there with your leg broken. I mean, people don't shop that kind of medicine.
People don't care because they're not paying.
But I'm saying, even if they were paying, how can you shop?
I don't know. If you're paying out of your own pocket, and every time you went in there, your doctor charged you $300, and there was somebody said, well, my doctor's really good, only charges $100. Most people might say, well, let me try that doctor.
I think if we're going to have a free enterprise, competitive thing for medical care, we could do it experimentally.
There might be a way to do it.
It might work.
Well, the big suggestion is you don't pay them by procedure. There's just a lot that's got to be done. It's a difficult problem. You don't pay them by procedure.
You pay them by what?
You pay them per patient, and then you track the outcomes. Rick Harper's good on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, we have to get him back on. I don't even know how that works. That's pretty good. Yeah, he's very good with that. We've had Rick Harper on in the past, who's an economist. PhD economist here at the University.
Used to be the Haas Center. Now the organization he's in is too long, and I forget the name of it.
Oh, they changed the Haas Center.
Yeah, it's now the Center for. They got some funding, and it's the Center for Economic Good Feeling.
We'll know at the break. One of the staff here will know at the break.
Don't count on it.
Could we go? Well, now they're not going to
We've
tell
got
us.
a great staff.
Now
they know a lot.
Yeah,
really
right. Yeah. Well, now we're going to take a short, not break. We're going to go to some photographs and tell you here is somebody we are looking for. All right, and we're going to run some photographs here for you to look at. Our staff's going to pop these up here.
Bob's introducing the Crime Stoppers segment.
See this fellow here in the green shirt? We want him real bad. So if you find him, you just tell us where we can find him. Don't go up and confront him.
Are you going to announce why?
No, I'm not going to announce anything. I'm just going to tell you, this is the guy we're looking for right here. And we really, really want to find him if we can, and we want to introduce him to some friends that we have in law enforcement. So this is the guy right here. He's smiling. He thinks everything's real cool. So if you see him, this fellow here, if you'll notify us, and we'll put you in touch with the appropriate authorities. There's another picture of him right here. This is kind of America's most wanted
except,
wannabe.
Except that you're not telling us what he wanted for.
Well, no, I that's a surprise. Anyway, this is the guy we're looking for, that gentleman chit-chatting on the phone. If you see him, there he is again in the pink shirt, okay? And I think this is maybe the final cut of these. They're not the best photographs in the world. Now, we're looking for this person. But now here's somebody that we're looking for even more than that guy.
Yeah.
And, yeah, there she is.
Who is she? Right away, quick. You saw a lot of her a few years ago.
Yeah, this is the lovely, and I use that term very
Catherine Harris.
Loosely. Catherine Harris.
Congressperson, former Secretary of State, and
defeated candidate. You know what the best
one of the least successful candidates for the Senate ever, probably.
Probably. Do you know the best picture I ever saw of her?
No.
She had your friend, George W. on one arm. Okay.
Well, and she was involved in George W's campaign. She was the head of his campaign in Florida. While she was Secretary of State,
in charge of elections.
She was working very hard to make sure that he won Florida.
Right. She was supposed to be the neutral person.
No conflict
to make sure there's no conflict. And so, you know who's on the other side? On the other? The big chubby. Jeb is on one side. And W's on the other side, and they're all grinning and smiling, and she's like this, and they're just so happy as pigs in mud. And she took care of the election to make sure George W. Bush got elected when she was.
A little help from the Supreme Court.
Well, she stopped the voting in Florida. That's what killed it. Okay, so if you see her, or you can tell her we're looking for. Yeah, that's different. The guy, don't tell him we're looking for him. Okay, that's all of our most wanted posters.
Right.
For the
Now, let's not confuse the next while we're doing the photographs.
No.
Let's not confuse the next photograph with anybody who's wanted.
This person is, anybody that's wanted.
We don't want to.
All right.
Be
let's go to the next
more
photograph.
disparaging than we are.
And we
got to set it up.
Oh yeah. All right.
Last week we discussed the fact that there was after the mayor issued a proclamation, and the proclamation was supportive of or laudatory about, there was kind of a gay pride. All the gay people show up on Memorial Day and drop a lot of dollars in Pensacola area. And the mayor said something good about him. I forget exactly where it was.
It was a standard proclamation.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to bring some kind of a convention to Pensacola, he'll give you a proclamation, no problem.
Sure.
So he issued the proclamation, and some churches got in Seville Square, and they were going to, it was kind of to counter that, and they were going to be in support of traditional family values. I think that's fair to say.
Sure.
And then the gay people, because they didn't have a permit to be on Seville Square, they stood across the street, and it was all a great exercise in First Amendment rights and democracy. Everybody gets to say what they want.
It was.
And the News Journal announced, and we announced, that Commissioner Wilson Robertson was there as a private citizen, which he has every right to do. You don't lose your right to go to rallies and to speak on public affairs just because you're an elected official. He was there as a private citizen.
Yes.
Today, it was revealed to us that he showed up, he took the podium, made some remarks, and
for who?
On behalf of the family value, the church folks. He was against the
right.
Well, he was love the sinner and hate the sin. I mean, he was
he was there
speaking on behalf of your traditional family values.
And the gay people were on the opposite side.
And the gay people were on the opposite side.
Yeah, and so
But he was there as a private citizen, as every private citizen has a right to do.
But we had a viewer, which, by the way, our viewers are sending us lots of stuff. Believe it or not, we were kind of amazed, actually, at some of the information we're getting. We got some amazing inside stuff dealing with the Community Maritime Park Association that we'll get to in the next couple of weeks that is very disturbing to me, and I think will be to our viewers.
This is very encouraging. Our viewers are way more informed and lucid than we are.
We have great viewers, okay? So if you're watching, you're one of them. And this viewer sent this photograph.
Yeah. Okay. Now, you cannot see what's on the photograph, but the viewer told us what's on it, and you're just not going to see it on TV, but we examined it. We had an independent person, very fair and independent person examine it. Look at his shirt. On the left breast is a circular kind of a logo, an emblem. That's the Escambia County logo. Underneath that, it says Wilson Robertson. And underneath that, it says County Commissioner. So he was showing up as a private citizen with his Escambia County Commissioner shirt. We don't know this for sure, but I'd be willing to bet that he was not introduced as private citizen Mr. Wilson Robertson. He was introduced as Commissioner Robertson.
And all he had to do was to show up in a sports shirt.
Put on a different shirt.
And not act like you're there with something official kind of statement.
Don't try to bring the imprimatur of the county commission. I mean, that is a little cheesy.
And so the News Journal account, they're usually pretty good about this, was not accurate, was it? I think technically they were right. He appeared there as a private citizen because he didn't stand up.
He wasn't sent by the county commission.
Right,
he didn't say the county commission has taken this position. But when the county commissioner stands up there in his county commission outfit and says, we need to, you know, it's just a little cheesy. And here's a guy who never apologizes for anything. He can violate hunting regulations. He can spend or attempt to spend a lot of taxpayer money giving his buddy a job. He never says anything but, I'm doing the exact right thing, keep the momentum going.
Might be Teflon, really. I mean,
yeah, he's kind of a Teflon
things
guy.
Don't stick too much. All right, I want to go to a story now. This was a Viewpoint article, and I had asked you about this before the show, but you had not read this, apparently. This was in the Pensacola News Journal, and it was written by somebody who's involved with the State Building Commission, and he calls it, the Viewpoint was State Building Commission, a success. Mm-hmm. All right, now let me just back up to tell you that the State Building Commission is comprised, and you go to the website, of various people from various industries, and there is some lay person involvement, but it's very minimal, and you don't have, you know, Common Cause or taxpayers or people for a green environment. I'm not sure who all's involved, but it's not a taxpayer-heavy organization. It's an industry organization.
It's mainly the group being regulated.
It's mainly the group being regulated.
Or proposing the regulations for themselves, which always works out well.
And maybe to their credit, they've done some good things. I don't know. But when I heard he was appointed by Jeb Bush, I immediately had some question about the propriety of all this. Anyway, here's the deal. The commission is funded through a surcharge on building permit fees and not through the state's general fund. What is that? Who cares? It's the state's revenue. Right. What does that mean?
Well, it's the citizens who are paying it.
You bet.
It isn't voluntary contributions. And I want to get to the Olympic clothing flap. That reminds me.
We're going to get to that after the next break.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be the number one on the next break.
But so people who apply for permits who are not the builders,
right?
It's their customers. When they apply for a permit, there's a little surcharge, and it funds this operation,
which pays for staff and everybody else. And he says, listen to this. I think he's quite sincere about this. We just don't happen to agree with him. The public is encouraged to participate and speak at all meetings.
So what?
So what? Let's go on to this. The commission has developed many recommendations to the legislature on codes, swimming pool safety, wind mitigation, energy conservation, green building construction, and the state product approval, to name a few. Again, these recommendations are derived from stakeholder.
The stakeholders.
The stakeholder argument.
Wouldn't the stakeholders be taxpayers and customers and people who live in the buildings?
And then this ambiguous, who knows what this means, stakeholder and public consensus. When did you have anything to do with the State Building Commission?
I never heard of it.
And I ask our viewers, have you ever even heard of it before? And do you have some input into what they do? Well, you can bet the next statement is a bell ringer. Code writing, Mr. Rankin is going to have a comment about this, an editorial comment. Code writing is always best left to a collaboration of industry professionals and not legislative staffers and lobbyists. Mr. Rankin, the ball is now in your court to tell our viewers what's going on with these industry standards and industry codes and industry controlling industry. What's the truth about this as opposed to having an independent legislative body do it? What's going on here?
Let's assume that the folks in this industry, like the folks in most industries, act for their benefit.
Indeed.
I mean, if you're going to regulate an industry, you should have input. They've got it turned around. You know, you should have input from the industry to talk about their problems, their concerns, whether or not they can meet these standards, what standards are met. Input. But you should have independent people people looking out for the citizens who are writing these codes. I mean, and then if the building falls down or something, they say, it was built to industry standards, so you cannot sue us. Because industry standards are now something that get introduced in lawsuits. You really don't want, and I see an objection coming, and we're going to address it. You really don't want the people who are being regulated writing all the regulations. That's why we weren't too crazy about Tom DeLay.
Yeah, right.
You got enough money, come on in and write your own regulations. That's the problem with it.
Here's what they've said. The health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Florida are always at the forefront of our decisions.
Of course they are.
The cost-benefit, clever. The cost-benefit decisions is also carefully considered on all issues. Cost-benefit. Well, who's determining the benefit?
Right.
And who's determining the cost? It's the Florida Building Commission.
Are they going to spend any amount to make sure people are safe? Well, no, there's an analysis here. Let's be reasonable.
You got to be balanced.
The public's encouraged to comment. Comment all you want. We're going to do whatever the hell's good for us.
You bet.
I mean, come on.
So, code writing, this statement is so preposterous on its face, so offensive to anybody that understands how this works. I don't know how you can write something like this with a straight face. Code writing is always best left to a collaboration of industry professionals and not legislative staffers and lobbyists. That's why we elect public officials, so they can pass reasonable legislation and impose reasonable rules for the protection of their constituents, not for the people who are in the industry doing it.
Somebody whose interests are different than theirs, who's knowledgeable, has to be involved.
I like your idea. It's reversed.
Yeah, it's backwards.
That was very astute. That's reversed. They should come. The architects, the builders, the contractors, the window manufacturers, the insulation people, they should all come and say, you better not pass these regulations because it's going to cost so much money and there's no benefit. And so they could kind of sort through it. But you let these people decide cost benefit? Oh, and the public is free to attend. How many people go to the Florida Building Commission that's stacked up with architects and builders and the rest of them?
Maybe if you did an analysis of certain things that are required, they're not required, but it benefits these folks.
You bet.
You know, let's require all kinds of crazy stuff.
Oh, what a good point.
It raises the cost of buildings. It's good for us.
What a good point. Requiring things that do not inure to the public safety, but to the benefit of the people proposing the regulations. Yeah. So then they go, and I know I bash Jeb Bush regularly, but this is a Jeb Bush special. Then they come in where the Florida Building Commission, and they go into a very favorable reception by the Florida legislature. We appreciate the hard work that all of you are doing. Now, what regulations do you not recommend? And what things do you think we can do to make it safer for Florida citizens? Did they do some good? Maybe they have. I don't know. But it's the appearance of it that is just bad.
It's just a flawed system.
It's a flawed system.
Maybe when all these perfect people leave and some imperfect people come, we'll get some problems. You know?
Right.
Come on.
All right, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about
the Olympics.
The Olympics.
And the Olympic outfits.
Why I am so opposed to Chinese
outrage.
blazers. All right, we'll be back here in a minute.